Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling a real head-scratcher from the courtroom, something that seems to fly in the face of all common sense.
All right, so let's just jump right in with a puzzle. Picture this. A suspect confesses to a crime. I mean, that's it, right? Case closed. But what if it's not? Why on earth would a court, a place that's all about finding the truth, turn around and say, nope, we're not going to listen to that confession? It seems crazy, but that's exactly what we're going to dig into.
So, to get to the bottom of this, we've actually got to do a little time traveling. See, this whole thing isn't some newfangled legal trick. No, its origins go way, way back. Probably further than you'd guess.
This idea, the idea of just tossing out a confession, it didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It started as this quiet murmur in the legal world back in the mid-18th century. But the real game changer, the moment it was laid down in black and white, was in 1783. And believe me, after that, things started to get a lot more detailed. And this quote, this really hits the nail on the head for what they were originally thinking. It's from that big 1783 case, and it's crystal clear. Any confession forced from the mind by the flattery of hope or by the torture of fear, well, you just can't trust it. So get this, the first reason wasn't about bad cops. It was all about one simple question: is this confession actually true?
Right, so that's the key takeaway here. The whole rule was built on this one idea: reliability. A confession that's been coerced, it's just not trustworthy. The court threw it out because they saw it as junk evidence, something born out of fear or false hope, not an honest-to-goodness admission of what really happened.
Okay, but that seems simple enough, right? If it's not reliable, you don't use it. So, why did the rules get so incredibly strict and complicated? Well, to figure that out, you have to understand the kind of legal world this rule was born into. And let's just say, it was a pretty savage time.
Lord Hailsham didn't mince words. He called it a savage code. I mean, the whole system was just massively stacked against you if you were the one accused. The scales of justice weren't just tipped, they were practically nailed to the floor on the prosecution side.
Let's really try to imagine this for a second. You're accused of a serious crime, and the punishment could be death or getting shipped off to a penal colony. But there's no real police force as we know it, no lawyer to help you, and no way to appeal if you lose. And the kicker? You weren't even allowed to testify in your own defense. In that kind of world, judges started thinking, we have to do something. They started building these artificial rules to try and level the playing field, even just a little.
So what happened was, this led to an incredibly rigid rule. It was almost automatic. The thinking was to protect people. If anybody in a position of power made even the slightest promise or threat, boom. Any confession after that was instantly labeled involuntary. It didn't matter how small the inducement was, the confession was out.
Okay, let's fast forward a bit into the 20th century, because the story keeps evolving. Courts began to see a problem. These super strict black and white rules were sometimes leading to some pretty weird outcomes. They were so focused on legal technicalities, on these tiny little details, that they were kind of losing sight of the bigger picture of what really went down.
And so, the law did what it does best. It adapted. It shifted from this really technical magic word test, did they say the word promise? Did they use a threat? To something much more grounded in reality. The new question became way more practical. Forget the exact words. Did what the authorities say or do actually cause this particular suspect, with their own unique personality and situation, to confess when they otherwise wouldn't have?
Yeah! By 1975, the law lords basically put their foot down. They said, look, this is just a straightforward question of fact. They told judges to stop digging through hundreds of old, different cases and just focus on the human reality of the case right in front of them. The bottom line was simple. Was this confession genuine, or was it squeezed out of them?
So the rule changed, it became more modern, but wait, we're not done yet. Because today, the reasons we have this rule go way beyond that original concern about a confession being true or false. Now there are a whole bunch of other principles propping this thing up.
First up, you still got the bedrock, the original idea, the reliability principle. This is our starting point, right? The common sense notion that if you bully a confession out of someone, you just can't be sure it's the truth. It could be totally made up.
Then, you've got another layer. Think of the rule as a shield for the individual. That's the protective principle. It's all about that basic human right not to be forced to incriminate yourself. It's a check on the overwhelming power of the state.
And then the focus pivots. It's not about the suspect anymore. It's about the people in charge. This is the disciplinary principle, and its job is exactly what it sounds like, to keep law enforcement in line. It's about discouraging bad behavior and making sure that people who are arrested are treated the right way.
And here's Lord Hailsham again, and he really hammers this point home. He said it's absolutely vital in a civilized society that we don't let officials pressure people for confessions. In fact, he suggested that stopping that kind of abuse might be even more important than worrying about whether the confession is fake.
And finally, we get to the highest level, the big picture idea, the societal integrity principle. This goes beyond the suspect, beyond the police. It's about the justice system itself. The core idea here is that the courts have to have clean hands. They can't be seen as complicit in any kind of shady business. They have to protect their own reputation and integrity.
This quote from Australia just nails it. It says, look, this isn't just about fair play for one person. It's about something much bigger. It's about all of us, as a society, insisting that the law enforcers have to respect the law too. The system has to practice what it preaches.
So, that brings us right back where we started. But now the question looks a lot different, doesn't it? It's not just, hey, why throw out a good confession? Now it's a much deeper, much tougher question. What's more important? Getting a conviction in this one case using evidence that might be tainted? Or protecting the integrity of the entire justice system that's supposed to protect every single one of us? It's a huge choice.